Please be seated. Distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to invite Mr. Chris Tobin, representative of the Darug people, to offer the traditional welcome to country. Mr. Tobin.
Thank you. Good morning and welcome to the lands of the Walla Medical. I belong to one of the local Aboriginal families of the Darug people, the traditional custodians over this part of the country. I wish to thank the University for their acknowledgement of us and for the invitation to welcome you here this morning. That acknowledgement is important for our people and much appreciated, particularly by our elders. Education is highly valued in our culture too. Knowledge meant survival, and our elders are traditionally accorded great respect for their accumulated wisdom and experience. My family descend from Yarramundi, a respected elder and cleverman of the Burrabrongal clan during the early years of colonisation. He saw that our survival in this new world could best be secured if we could learn more about it. As such, he enrolled his daughter, Maria, into the Native Institution, a school set up in 1815 by Governor Macquarie himself, offering formal education to Aboriginal children. Maria studied there for several years and used her newly acquired skills to lobby and ultimately secure some land for herself and her family out along the Richmond Road. Other Aboriginal families soon joined them, and it became known as the Blackstown, where the present-day city of Blacktown gets its name from. We are very proud of her, as I'm sure your families are of you here today. And with good reason, for your progress progresses us all. Your advancement is our advancement. Now, that was perhaps more readily understood in traditional times when camps were smaller and clan groups that abided by strict sharing laws meant that the food that you caught and brought back got distributed throughout the rest of the camp. Your skills and good fortune were thus enjoyed by all. Your efforts literally nourished the rest of the community. And you, of course, were looked after by them. Yes, we can live quite beautifully when we get it right. Our Aboriginal ancestors certainly lived well in many respects, and I use them myself and offer them to you as a benchmark or a model on how good perhaps to expect our lives today. See, when Captain Cook arrived here a little over 200 years ago, he described the people he encountered at Botany Bay as one of the happiest people he had ever met in the world. They had nothing, he wrote, but the tools that they carried. They were naked, they made shelters from the bark of trees without cutting them down, and harvested food from the land without tilling the earth. In traditional times, everyone was accorded rights to the country or clan area where he or she was born into. So there was no homelessness, and no rich and poor either. Everyone had pretty much the same amount of gear, what you could carry. There was no empire building, no armies or jails. We have no history of slavery. People cooperated to collect the resources that were needed, and then they were shared out according to strict Aboriginal law. Our lands were maintained in their natural state. Rivers were clean and unpolluted, with people drinking out of them as they have done here for the past 20,000 years. Now remember, this is not an ideal. This is normal life, normally. Right? There's no reason why we should expect less for ourselves and our children than what our ancestors enjoyed. So I would say to you, expect great things from your life and do great things. Share your skills with the rest of the camp. Together we can put together a country and a future that's worthy of our children. We can all do our bit. I'll do mine now by getting off and letting you good people graduate. Just wanted to say congratulations to you and your families and all the best in our collective future. Thank you. Young, welcome to country.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am pleased to introduce the Chancellor of Macquarie University, the Honourable Michael Egan AO. Mr. Egan.
Thank you, Chris Tobin, for your welcome to country. Well, graduands, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, and I see we have a number of boys and girls in the audience today, and also a number of babes in arms. and they're all very welcome. A university graduation is a celebration, and I've yet to see a celebration that's not enhanced by the presence of little ones. So at Macquarie University, your children are free to run around. Don't be embarrassed if they do, and your babies are free to cry. We've all heard worse. I was in Parliament for 25 years, so I can put up with anything. But in any event, in fact, what we usually find is that the young mothers and fathers position themselves down at the back so that they can make a hasty retreat as soon as their baby makes a noise. Well, we've got people down there to stop you going out. And actually, it's a bit selfish of us, actually, because it's in our advantage. What we've discovered is that if a baby cries through a graduation ceremony, he or she is back within 25 years to receive their first PhD. So, graduands, let me first welcome all of you, and I hope that today will be a really happy time for all of you. Now, it will only be a happy time if you all relax. Some look very happy and relaxed, but some look a bit nervous, as though you're heading into the exam room rather than picking up your degree. I'm assured you've all passed your exams, so please just sit back and relax, enjoy the day. Nothing can go wrong. The very worst thing that can happen is that when you come up here you fall over. That has happened. But that's why all these people are here. They pick you up when you fall over and send you on your way. So just relax and have a great day. Because you deserve to take pride in your graduation. Completing a degree is never easy. You need an intelligent and inquiring mind. You need determination and perseverance, and you need to make many sacrifices. So welcome and congratulations to each and every one of you. Today I'd also like to welcome, and especially welcome, those of you sitting on that side and sitting behind our graduands as their invited guests. Because if you think about it for a moment, you've all obviously done very well too. The very fact that you're here, the fact that you've been invited by one of our graduands to share one of the great days of their lives is proof positive that you've been very important in their lives and in the successes that we celebrate today. So mothers and fathers, brothers and sisters, cousins, sons and daughters, grandmothers and grandfathers, friends, husbands and wives, partners, boyfriends, girlfriends, lovers, or whatever you are, congratulations. And thank you for celebrating this great occasion with us. And I don't want you to think either that observing today's graduation is the end of your role, because I have another important service for you to perform for our newest graduates, as they will soon become. I want you to make sure that the degrees that they receive today are never ever put in a bottom drawer, but are always proudly displayed in a position of prominence. In other words, if our graduands are too self-effacing to proclaim their own success, you make sure you do it for them. Now, the ceremony that we're about to participate in is one of the world's oldest social rituals. For centuries, graduates have been donning robes just like the ones our graduands are wearing today, and participating in ceremonies just like this one. Indeed, there are some 50 universities in the world which can trace their history back more than 500 years. Now, I hope it doesn't come as a surprise to you to learn that Macquarie is not one of those universities. We, of course, are very young, only 50 years of age. We proudly take our name, Macquarie University, from Australia's greatest colonial governor, Governor Lachlan Macquarie, a man whose greatness and achievements were never ever acknowledged by his contemporaries, but only by history. Those of us who went to school in New South Wales were taught that Macquarie was a great builder, but his greatest legacy had nothing to do with bricks and mortar. It was the ethos that he established, much to the chagrin of the British authorities of the time, of an egalitarian society. Because it was Macquarie's insistence that in this fledgling convict colony there be no distinction between the free and the freed that was the foundation of the Australian notion of a fair go for all. And that is the legacy that here at Macquarie we will always aim to maintain and honour. Now, after our first 50 years, we now have more than 150,000 Macquarie graduates living in more than 140 countries. Now, it's not many more than 150,000 because yesterday, at yesterday afternoon's graduation, we, we graduated our 150,000th graduate, and that was a great occasion. So we are a very modern and a very outward-looking university. We're regarded as one of Australia's leading research universities, and we're currently extending our research as we are our course offerings and facilities. On your way here today, you may have seen our Macquarie University Hospital, which is only a few years old. We are the only university in Australia with our own private hospital. And of course, it's used for its primary purpose of treating sick people. It's I think, 180-bed hospital, but it's also used by the postgraduate medical students and the academics in our School of Advanced Medicine. I can assure you it's a first-class hospital, and I know that from personal experience. I was a patient there for 3 days towards the end of last year, and the level of care is just absolutely fantastic, especially if you're the Chancellor. So I can recommend it to you. We also, of course, should all be familiar with our still fairly new library, the only one on any Australian university campus with an automated book retrieval system. And by the way, graduands, if you haven't been on the campus this year, you might take the opportunity this afternoon to go and have a look at what we've done in the old library, where we've put in some informal sort of student study spaces, which are proving very popular. And of course, last year we opened our Advanced Hearing Hub, which will be a world-leading institute in hearing, speech and language sciences. So we're looking forward and we're on the move. Here at Macquarie, we have a very clear and straightforward mission. And that mission is to transform people's lives and to improve the lives not just of our own students, but also of people all around the globe by the work and achievements of our graduates and by the fruit of our research. We want Macquarie always to be a leader in teaching and learning and a leader in the accumulation of knowledge and understanding. In other words, an ideal community of scholars. And graduands, in just a few minutes, it will be my very great honour to confer your degrees upon you and welcome you as lifelong members of that community of scholars we proudly call Macquarie University. Thank you.
Chancellor, I call on Andrew Stewart Davidson, who is graduating today with a Doctor of Philosophy, to speak on behalf of the graduating group. Mr. Davidson.
Chancellor, members of the university, fellow graduates and guests. It's an honour for me today to address you on behalf of the graduates. During my talk, I'd like to take a few moments to explain why I do research and to call on everyone here today, especially my fellow graduates, to embrace the concept of lifelong learning. I'll start by describing the plight of a young lady who had an incredible impact on my career. I'm a neurosurgeon. I work at the Macquarie University Hospital, and I started my neurosurgery training more than 10 years ago under the supervision and mentorship of Professor Michael Morgan. It was during my early years of training that I had the privilege to meet a delightful young lady who, for the purpose of anonymity, I will refer to today as Rose. Rose was a young woman in her 20s who'd been diagnosed with what was deemed to be an inoperable brain AVM, an arteriovenous malformation, a collection of abnormal blood vessels in her brain that was causing repeated seizures and occasional brain hemorrhages that were progressively taking away her quality of life. Confronted with the option of doing nothing, allowing her life to slowly be taken from her, she sought advice from my supervisor, who offered her a chance at cure of her AVM by undergoing a radical surgical resection. She elected to proceed with surgery. Sadly, though, Rose died on the operating table from blood loss. This was a devastating complication of extremely dangerous surgery. And one of the most difficult things that I've ever had to do in my career so far was to sit down with my mentor that day while he told this young lady's family that their daughter had died on the operating table. This experience shaped my career and led me to undertake further clinical training in cerebrovascular neurosurgery, I believe one of the most technically demanding and challenging fields of surgery. I wanted to ensure that this never happened again, that I never saw this sort of outcome. I wanted to try and make sure that no parent would be told that his or her child had died as a result of surgery. And as I progressed through my training, I also became aware that patients with this same disease were dying from their disease because they were deemed to be too difficult to operate on. They were too large, they were too complex for any of the available treatment modalities that we had. I decided that surgery wasn't the only way. I needed to try and find a better solution to treat these AVMs. I found a clinical problem, and this clinical problem needed to be solved. So with the help of my mentor and research supervisors, I chose to investigate the option of focused ultrasound, hypothermia and vascular targeting therapy as a combination treatment option for brain AVMs. In short, I was looking for something unique, some novel treatment that hadn't been tried before in order to try and find a cure for a complex medical problem. That is why I do research. Why then do others do research or study? And I can't answer this for every one of the graduates here today, but I would guess that there are as many reasons as there are graduates. However, I suspect that somehow that each and every one of us is interested in knowledge, learning something new or creating new knowledge. And I'd like to think that the reason we're here today at this particular graduation ceremony for the Faculty of Human Sciences is that there's a desire for knowledge that is meaningful, that is clinically relevant. Not knowledge for knowledge's sake, but knowledge for humanity's sake. In some way or another, we're all here to solve a clinical problem. And it's through the scientific endeavours on display here today, through the courses studied, through the research undertaken through the Faculty of Human Science, that I believe science comes closest to humanity. It's through our scientific endeavours that we can start to make a difference for people like young Rose. But our endeavours cannot end here. Rather than representing the conclusion of an episode of study, today's graduation ceremony should serve as a stepping stone towards bigger and better things within the field of human sciences. For what Macquarie University offers, and in particular the Faculty of Human Sciences offers, is knowledge with a purpose, research with a tangible, meaningful goal. As a surgeon, I was disappointed to see that our peak body, the Royal Australasian College of Surgeons and the Neurosurgical Society of Australasia, the bodies responsible for training young neurosurgeons of the future, has dropped its requirement for all trainees to undertake a period of dedicated research during their training. Personally, I feel this is a backward step. However, I am greatly encouraged to see the large number of graduates here today who have chosen to undertake study or research within the disciplines of human science. And with this in mind, I'd like to call on today's graduates to continue their education, to embrace the concept of lifelong learning, not simply to be consumers of scientific information, but to broaden the horizons of your work, to develop new knowledge, and to maintain the meaning and relevance of your future work. I'd also like to thank everyone that has helped us along the way, our mentors, our supervisors, colleagues, research collaborators, funding agency, family and friends. But most of all, I'd like to thank the patients, because it's the patients who inspire us to do research, to learn, and to never stop learning. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. I trust you enjoy the rest of the ceremony.
Well, thank you, Andrew, for a truly inspiring address. Congratulations on your PhD. And I think, ladies and gentlemen, you can see, listening to Andrew, why we are so proud of our hospital and our School of Advanced Medicine and the people who work in them. Andrew, well done. As I say, it was an inspiring address, and I think we're very, very fortunate to have people of your quality on our campus, and I think we're very lucky, and your patients are very lucky to have such a dedicated man looking after them. Well done. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we now come to the key part of today's ceremony, which is the conferring of degrees. And that's the only part of the ceremony that makes me a little bit nervous, because when I first became the Chancellor of Macquarie University more than 6 years ago, the then Chief Justice of New South Wales, James Spiegelman, told me that if I ever conferred a degree on someone in error, there was nothing I could do to take it back. So, with that in mind, before I confer a degree on anyone, these days I insist on getting an ironclad assurance from the Deputy Registrar, Jonathan Wiley, over there, that you're all eligible to graduate, that none of you were ever late in submitting an assignment, that none of you ever missed a class. Jonathan, can you please give me that assurance?
Chancellor, I certify that all candidates who are presented here today and those who are absent have satisfied the requirements of the Academic Senate for the degrees and diplomas they are to be awarded. Would all candidates for admission to degrees or diplomas please now stand?
Graduands, in the name of the Council of Macquarie University and by my authority as Chancellor, I admit each of you present and those who are absent to the degrees and diplomas for which you have qualified. Graduates, congratulations.
Please be seated. Chancellor, the graduates at this ceremony are from the Faculty of Human Sciences. The faculty teaches courses and conducts research about people, investigating the how and the why. It is home to a number of internationally recognised research centres, conducting groundbreaking research across disciplines in areas like cognitive science and early childhood education. Exciting opportunities exist in these disciplines for students and for researchers alike. The faculty includes research and study areas in advanced medicine, education, linguistics, psychology, early childhood, cognitive science, and the health professions. Chancellor, I now call on Professor Janet Greeley, Executive Dean of the Faculty of Human Sciences, to present the graduates and diplomates. Professor Greeley.
Chancellor, I present to you the graduates from the Faculty of Human Sciences whom you have admitted to degrees. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Doctor of Philosophy. Dr. Sukseri Boonshan, for a thesis entitled The Value of Literature in Foreign Language Learning, a case study of tertiary level literature studies in Cambodia. Dr. Andrew Stewart Davidson, for a thesis entitled Vascular Targeting, Fever Range Hyperthermia, and High-Intensity Focused Ultrasound in an Animal Model of Arteriovenous Malformation. Dr. Michael John Gray, for a thesis entitled Aspect Marking in Australian Sign Language, a system of gestural verb modification. Dr. Lars Marstaller for a thesis entitled Co-Speech Gestures and Cognition. Dr. Ayacho Ochi for a thesis entitled A Text-Based Study of the Interpersonal Grammar of Modern Japanese, Mood, Modality, and Evidentiality. Dr. Lindsay Parker for a thesis entitled The Neurochemistry of Ventrolateral Medulla and Sympathetic Preganglionic Neurons which Respond to Stress. Dr. Vincent James Polito for a thesis entitled Sense of Agency and Hypnosis. Dr. Lorraine Mary Ryan for a thesis entitled A Progressive Line of Movement in Every Poem, Semantic Progression in the Poetry of Dylan Thomas. Dr. Yu Yi Yo, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for a thesis entitled Optic Neuropathies, Characteristic Features and Mechanisms of Neuronal Loss. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Translating and Interpreting with the Master of International Relations. Maria Camilla Baldian Godoy. Pei Li. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Applied Linguistics. Douglas Alexander Agar, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Megumi Inoue. Kimiko Nakamura. Jasmine Rahman. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Applied Linguistics, Literacy. Cheryl Leslie Anderson. Lynette Marie Bellwood, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Applied Linguistics, TESOL, Zahida Pavez. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Clinical Audiology, Annette Arakel. Kaylee Brown. Maria Victoria Bursusco. Dale Coyle. Richard Rodney Davies. Felicity Margaret Gartshaw. Jessica Claire Hayes. Laura Naomi Hill. Angarid Johnson. Catherine Margaret Kwok. Jun Lee. Anuja Lamea. Scott Keith McIntosh. Kariana Maya Bettison. Jessica May Noonan. Jacob Mark Pogson. Donna J. Pollard. Yiling Sim. Jessica Shahalam King. Sharif Fikri Tadros. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Clinical Neuropsychology, Fleur Annette Leman, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Jacqueline Mary Richards, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Kara Laisheng Wang. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Clinical Psychology. Gregory Michael Baker, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Lucy Ann Frankham. Joanne Ashley Gilsonen, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Justin Charles Hendricks, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Matthew Rex William Horn. Carlo Tembagani Jacobs Bloom. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Communication Disorders, Jan Girdler. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Conference Interpreting, Xia Yun Tsong. Jingyuan Liu. Jun Wang. Wei Wang. Ran Xia. Yu Young. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Master of Medical Practice, Thomas Junsei Solonga. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Organizational Psychology, Nali Nguyen, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Lydia Raharja. Carly Pauline Richards. Nicholas Hugh Rennie Tucker, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Social Health and Counselling, Karen Louise Myra Butler. Sarah May Hennebury. Christina Markowska. Erica Ostradiska. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Speech and Language Pathology, Jennifer Lee Adams. Jessica Danielle Allen. Camilla Amy Armstrong. Lauren Atsapardi. Ella Bennett. Sarah Elizabeth Bolt. Eileen Patricia Boyle. Tammy Chun. Michaela Helena Cooper. Elena Victoria Donofrio. Melissa Ann Egan. Andrew William Harl, who has been awarded the Vice-Chancellor's Commendation for Academic Excellence. Catherine Joan Healy. Nada Maki Kanib. Dorina Mitzi Martinez. Kate McIntosh. Jessica Kate Nakour. Milan Perjul. Kate Eliza Ross. Marielle Therese Smith. Cordelia Ravena van Alst. Cornelia Van Workum. Charlotte Jane Monica Westmacott. Anna Kewen Wong. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Master of Translating and Interpreting. Natalie Jane Cumming. Saori Isamura. Yalan Lin. Hiromi Masumi So. Sarah Marie Strong. Ki-yoon Young. I present diplomates awarded the postgraduate diploma in Auslan English Interpreting. Gina Rosaria Ocella. Geraldine Jean Brenton. Saren Lee Bryant. Sharon Joy Hislop. Kim Yvette Matson. Conchetta Angela Macquarie. I present the diplomate awarded the Postgraduate Diploma of Organisational Behaviour, Nicole Sharon Dunn. I present diplomates awarded the Postgraduate Diploma of Professional Psychology, Sani Andriich. Nadia Catherine Atsapardi. Christopher Edward Beards. Monique Beaver. Nadine Buantoon. Julie Boulis. Jennifer Braden. Ahmed Elroz. Lauren Marie Forwood. Candice Graham. Suzanne Marie Hamill. Agatha Emissaire Yanchuk. Rachel Monique Kiley. Amelia Mitchell. Maria Mary Nasser. Danielle Nadelkowska. Paula Noble. Alison Jane O'Carroll. Rachel Pierce. I present diplomates awarded the Postgraduate Diploma of Social Health and Counselling. Jessica Varsha Anand. Elizabeth Ann Ashard. Michelle Linda Elsom. Marie Elizabeth Franchica. Victoria Linda Keane. Nikki Kanadu. Nicole Robinson. Danielle Jreka. I present diplomates awarded the Graduate Diploma of Speech and Communication. Natalie Catherine Buswell. Danielle Kate Marks. Nicola Shelton. Emma Catherine Thompson. I present the graduate admitted to the honours degree of Bachelor of Arts with first-class honours and the University Medal for Linguistics, Benjamin Luke Davies. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Bachelor of Education Primary, Paula Chrissy Hatzian Tanio. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts Psychology with the Bachelor of Health, Angela Jane Pike. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts with the Diploma of Education, Simone Turpin. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts, Yukwon Lonita O. Yoon. Caitlin Rose Fitzgerald Carter. Stephen Howard. Misato Ida. Ray Justin Tai. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Arts Psychology. Penelope Bandera. Laura Mayers. I present the graduate admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Science Psychology, Shannon Freya Lang. I present graduates admitted to the degree of Bachelor of Speech and Hearing Sciences, Farah Alameddine. Damaris Bahian. Kristen Bainey. Ariana Lucy Biddulph. Imogen Sophia Kala. Ellen Marie Confos. Alicia Curtis. Kalia Delana. Lily Amelia Elvey. Amy Charlotte Gordon. Olivia Gay Gorton. Jackie Harris. Gemma Hughes. Stephanie Johnson. Suha Karim. Annalise Kay. Anna Jane Maxwell Knight. Chian Lo. Melissa Eng. Annalisa Nyman. Inwa Anna O'Connor. Monique Sharon O'Hara. Emma Parks. Charlotte Ann Pitt. Laura Lee Saliba. Brianna Nicole Simmons. Elizabeth Maria Triantopoulou. Ashley Marie Watterson. Chancellor, that completes this morning's presentation of the graduates from the Faculty of Human Sciences.
Well, no, that wasn't too bad, was it? That glorious voice, ladies and gentlemen, belongs to Angela Brewer. And I can't tell you how fortunate you are today to have Angela singing at your graduation, because on the odd occasion that Angela can't come, I do the singing. Would you like to hear Angela sing a bit more? All you have to do is enrol in another degree and she'll be singing in next graduation, I promise you. I think she deserves another great round of applause. And so too to our fabulous musicians on the organ, Dr. James Forsyth over there. And on the Chinese flute, Chai Chang Ning. And sitting around the sides of the hall are some of our alumni volunteers who come along to make sure that everything goes smoothly at your graduation. And of course they all also come along to hear Angela sing at every graduation. So I think they deserve a great round of applause too. Well, ladies and gentlemen and graduates, it's our pleasure at today's ceremony to honour, in accordance with the resolution of the University Council, Emeritus Professor Sir Peter Knight for admission to the degree of Doctor of Letters Honoris Causa of Macquarie University. I now invite the Vice-Chancellor of Macquarie University, Professor Bruce Doughton, to read the citation. Professor Doughton.
I invite Emeritus Professor Sir Peter Knight, FRS, to please stand for the citation. Emeritus Professor Sir Peter Knight is one of the pioneers of quantum optics. He has played a central role in the development of theoretical physics around the world. He has served as Professor of Quantum Optics, Senior Principal and Deputy Rector of Research at Imperial College in London. He has one of the highest impact publication records of anyone in his field, and he has made enormous contributions to the broader scientific community. As the first non-US President of the Optical Society of America and the current President of the United Kingdom's Institute of Physics. He has also played roles in supporting the government of the United Kingdom in the development and use of scientific research, in his roles as Chief Scientist of the United Kingdom's National Physical Laboratory and as Chairman of the United Kingdom's Ministry of Defence Scientific Advisory Committee. Sir Peter has had a significant impact upon Macquarie University, particularly in the development of photonic and quantum science over the past 2 decades. He has visited our campus many times, lectured at our summer schools, and welcomed our higher degree research delegates to Imperial College, London. Sir Peter has trained a great number of researchers, including Dr. Barry Sanders and Professor Jason Twomley. Dr. Sanders served at Macquarie University from 1991 to 2003, and Professor Twomley joined us in 2005 and remains with us today. Both are in their own right outstanding scientists, researchers and educators, and have made exceptional contributions to this university and to their field, thanks in no small part to the continued support, guidance and mentorship from Sir Peter. In 2011, Macquarie University was successful in winning an Australian Research Council Centre of Excellence in Engineered Quantum Systems, EQUIS. The centre is led by the University of Queensland and involves 5 researchers at Macquarie University. Sir Peter is chair of the EQUIS Scientific Advisory Committee, has already visited Australia on a number of occasions in that role to provide invaluable advice and leadership for the centre. In 2010, Sir Peter retired from Imperial College in London and took up the founding directorship of the Cavalier Royal Society International Centre in Chichele Hall, just outside of London. He was also elected President of the United Kingdom's Institute of Physics, a role that brought him to Sydney in December 2012 to give a plenary address at the Australian Institute of Physics Biennial Congress and to visit this university once again. Sir Peter has demonstrated not only excellence in academia, but also a dedication to scholarship and particularly to his students. He is a leader in his field, a mentor to his students, and a true friend of Macquarie University. Chancellor, it is with extraordinary pleasure that I present to you Emeritus Professor Sir Peter Knight, FRS, for the award of the degree Doctor of Letters, honoris causa.
Ladies and gentlemen, it's now my pleasure to invite Sir Peter Knight to present the occasional address. Please welcome Sir Peter Knight.
So, Presiding Officer, Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, members of faculty, staff, distinguished guests, graduates, and of course family. It's a very great honour for me to be standing here today to receive this honorary degree. The university where I was a student, Sussex, in the United Kingdom, was founded about the same time as Macquarie, with very similar ideals, in particular with interests in thinking beyond particular narrow disciplines. The Sussex doyen, our founding Deputy Vice-Chancellor, later Vice-Chancellor, Lord Asa Briggs, called it redrawing the map of knowledge. A phrase that stuck with me and guided me throughout my career to think beyond my own particular specialisms. As we've just heard, I've had links of a sort with this university for many years, with scientific collaboration with a number of faculty members here. Professor Jim Piper, probably the earliest, who I've known since the very early 70s. Jim Cresser, who's been here for some years. Former Professor Barry Sanders, once my own student. Professor Jason Twamley, once my own postdoc, and so on. And as you just heard, I chair the EQUIS Australian Research Council Centre of Excellence Advisory Board, and it's a great pleasure to be here and see how really first-rate visionary science is flourishing here at Macquarie. It's been a delight to visit here over many years and to see how this university has grown and changed. My own career has been in physics, and especially in the role quantum phenomena play in atomic and optical processes, and that's an awful long way away from your own fields. I studied in the UK, I worked for a while in the USA, and I've been at Imperial College for about 35 years now. Although I'm sort of retired, all that really means in academic life is they stop paying you. In my own field, I was very proud to work with many incredibly talented young people who've gone on to leadership positions around the world. As Imperial's Dean and then Deputy Rector, the equivalent in the sense of your Provost, I was responsible for Imperial's research strategy, and in particular for fostering our approach to energy, climate change, global health, global challenges facing all of us that require all the skills that we can bring to bear. I had to deliver multidisciplinary research institutes within Imperial that would produce world-class outcomes on global sustainability. And that really is one legacy I'm very proud of. Getting colleagues in a research-intensive university like Imperial, ranked in the world league tables in the top 10, to bring their insights to bear on such issues has been a real delight. Indeed, what I wanted to mention today next relates to these global issues and goes beyond my scientific research field. For some years, as you've just heard, I've been involved as a scientific advisor to the UK government. I've had to be on many occasions the bridge between the research community and leading political figures, including some very tough but wholly supportive science ministers. The UK has really benefited from having committed politicians who understand the nature and the contribution of science to the national economy and the international world. One of the oddest experiences in my life was to run a seminar on disruptive technologies at 10 Downing Street for our Prime Minister and other cabinet ministers. We were the warm-up act in the morning before the Olympics beach volleyball final, which was going on the other side of the garden wall from the Prime Minister's residence. Now, more seriously, I wanted to share with you some of my thoughts on the relationship between elected political figures, those charged by the electorate to make decisions, and their scientific advisors, who provide evidence and the factual basis on which decisions can be made. This is a very delicate balance. As Peter Gluckman, the New Zealand Chief Scientific Advisor, has so eloquently stated in a recent Nature article, advice has to be given independently, but to be influential, the provider has to be trusted and fully engaged with stakeholders. We're advisors, not deciders. This is very much what I've tried to do in the UK, culminating recently, in the last few weeks in fact, in the announcement of an additional £300 million in quantum technology investment in the UK. Working with stakeholders to provide our politicians with the reasons why technologically advanced nations should invest in science is not easy. But I've been lucky to work with senior politicians in the UK who really have got it. Sadly, I fear that's not a common experience. Many governments, I fear, have begun to turn away from the very principle of evidence-based decision-making, as some of the global challenges which face society become entangled with some very partisan political issues. Energy and the environment come to mind, and this very much worries me. If we're to deal with these issues, we need to move away from polemics to calm, factually based discussion. So let me explain some of the things that keep me awake at night, not just jet lag coming in from London. In 1800, the population of the world was about 800 million people. Then we discovered how to use hydrocarbons for energy and for food supply, and it started an explosive growth in population numbers. The population of the world is now about 7 billion, with 2 billion living in slums. The population growth rate is about 1% globally, whereas less than 0.1% would actually be sustainable. And in developing nations, the population growth exceeds 8%. The world is actually living in a massive Ponzi scheme where one begins to doubt whether future generations will have the resource needed to repay our wayward behavior. This population growth is totally changing geopolitics. In 1950, Europe had 22% of the global population. This will drop to about 6% by 2040. Power is very much more broadly distributed around the world, and this is a very good thing. But we're seeing very significant depletion of natural resources. Rare earths, even germanium and helium are being squandered at an incredible rate. The climate's changing, as the IPCC have shown, based on peer-reviewed evidence. We can see that desertification of the Saharan margins is increasing. The monsoon behavior is changing. The Himalayan ice mass, which provides the water for India and China, is dramatically changing. The weather is becoming extremely volatile. Crop yield growth was about 3.5% in the 1960s when we experienced the Green Revolution. That sustained this massive population growth. But this growth has now fallen to about 1.2% despite absolutely massive fertilizer usage. Potash, for example, is at risk. There's plenty in the oceans, but will we actually have the wealth needed in 50 years to extract it? To deal with these and related issues requires the establishment of sound, trusted evidence, a clarity of communication, and a commitment to the robust delivery of advice. As scientists, we are partial to data, but the data must not be partial. As you go out into the world as new graduates, you share our common responsibility for sound judgment on the future of our Earth. It's yours for a much longer time than it will be for me. You've got to look after it for us. Now, can I conclude by thanking once more Macquarie University for this honour, and thank you, the audience, for listening. It's an enormous pleasure and an honour for me to be here, sharing in your graduation day and your experience of this university, and to see the faces around me who have really just very much enjoyed their time here, as I have during my many visits. So, thank you so much for the honour of this honorary degree. Thank you for listening.
Well, thank you, Sir Peter, for an absolutely fabulous occasional address. Graduates, I think you will all be very much aware of the great privilege that you've enjoyed today to have such a distinguished international scientist give the occasional address at your graduation. And Sir Peter's remarks, I think, were so important that I hope that we might find a way of actually exposing them to a much wider audience than just the people here today. As the Vice-Chancellor pointed out, Sir Peter has been a friend of this university for a long time, and he'll be here for 3 weeks working at our university, so it's a great honour for us, a great privilege for us. Sir Peter, thank you once again for a great occasional address and for being such an important part of today's graduation ceremony. Well, graduates, this ceremony marks the end of one stage in your relationship with Macquarie University, but it's certainly not the end of your association with Macquarie. From today on, for the rest of your lives, you are part of the bigger Macquarie family, which is our alumni, and part of the network of 150,000 Macquarie alumni who now span the globe. We'll keep in touch with you through our alumni program, which is focused on lifelong learning, lifelong support, and lifelong connections. Our commitment to you is to help you keep in touch and engaged with Macquarie throughout your life. And graduates, please do make sure to come back to Macquarie, either to undertake more study, to attend alumni events, perhaps use our aquatic and fitness facilities, or even, if you like, just to have a stroll around our beautiful campus, or perhaps even enjoy a picnic with your friends down by the lake. But do whatever you do, do come back. Graduates, the award of a university degree carries many opportunities and privileges, but like all privileges, it also carries responsibilities. Believe it or not, you, each and every one of you, can change the world. And you don't have to be a Nobel Prize winner to do it either. Because almost everything you do, in your homes, in your workplaces, and in your communities matters and can make a huge difference. The consequences of every effort, every action, large or small, can reverberate throughout society, through the decades, indeed the centuries. Even something as simple as a kind word or a kind gesture can often be the spark that ignites a great life or a great career or a great achievement. So as Chancellor of Macquarie University, I charge you to use what you have learned not only for your own benefit, but also for the betterment of the community. I charge you to use the skills and knowledge you have acquired with rigour and integrity, and to commit yourselves to a program of lifelong learning and inquiry. I charge you to recognise the worth and dignity of all people, particularly those who have not had the opportunities that you've enjoyed. I charge you to set high goals and to continue the hard work that has brought you so far. I charge you, wherever you go, to go with all your heart. And in all you do, I charge you to uphold the good name of Macquarie University. Now, graduates, I hope also that you'll always remember the people who've helped you along the way, many of whom, of course, are here with you today. So to acknowledge their contribution and thank them for it, I'm now going to ask you to do a couple of things. Graduates, would you now please stand? Now I'd like you to put your degrees on the seats behind you so that your hands are free. And I'd like you now to turn to face your families and your friends. And now I invite you to give them a mighty round of applause. Well, graduates, you can turn around now, but don't sit down because we'll be moving out shortly. But please do pick up your degrees. We don't want anyone leaving them behind. Here on the dais are some people I'm sure you'd also like to thank. They're the representatives of our academic community who have supported you throughout your journey here at Macquarie. Please join me in thanking them. Well, ladies and gentlemen, the official party will now leave the graduation hall through the centre aisle and will be followed by all of the graduates. I would then invite you all to join the procession down to the marquee overlooking the lake where we have some light refreshments. So I would now invite you all to please now stand. And please remain standing until the last of the graduates have processed out. And as I say, please join the procession. Well, graduates, I wish you the very best for the future. And in the words of the old Irish blessing, may the road rise up to meet you. May the wind always be at your back. May the sun shine warm upon your face and rains fall soft upon your fields. And until we meet again, may God hold you in the palm of his hand. Graduates, good luck.